Okay, so we're going to put this together now. We've got our grape juice here in the box. I've put the vessel in the sink just so it's lower and it's easy to tip this. I'm not going to lift this quite heavy box of juice up as high. So just take the lid off your juice. Try and bring the edge of the juice to the edge of the box. Hold the box and then just tip the contents carefully into your vessel. And then once you're down to a certain level, you can then just take the bag out by hand and finish that process off. Okay. Now what we need to do now is rinse the bag out with some warm water. You can either do this in your kettle, or if you water at home you know as a clean source, you can mix some warm water straight into the bag. It's usually a good idea to try and get some warm water in here because your final temperature needs to be high enough for the yeast to start fermenting. If you do everything with cold water, you'll end up with that too low and you'll have to leave it to come to room temperature. But as you can see, we've mixed the bag out. We'll tip that into our vessel. You can leave that now. And we've now got our bentonite, and we also have, for the case of this kit, our oat chips. So the first thing to do is put our bentonite in there. Just shake that in. And the same with our oat chips. Just shake those in. And what you'll find is that they probably won't sink to the bottom. They'll float at the top, but that's not a problem. And just give that a good stir to mix everything thoroughly. Get everything mixed in. And then what we need to do now is to top this up. You'll see the 23 litre mark is actually the 5 gallon mark here, so just again drop that into your sink and fill that up with cold water. And once this is finished, we need to take a temperature reading to make sure that we've got the right temperature for pitching the yeast. So we'll just finish that. That's at 23 litres now. You just bring the bucket out of the sink onto the work surface. Using our thermometer, we'll take a reading. So just make sure that the thermometer is sufficiently in the liquid to get a good reading. And basically what we're looking for here is a temperature of between 20 and 24 degrees. So we'll drop that in. Just wait for the thermometer to settle out, then take a reading, and for us that's perfect, we're at 20 degrees there. So just give the thermometer a rinse. And we're now ready to pitch our yeast. And to do that, you just rip the top of the yeast off and you just sprinkle that across the top. And you will have some bubbles that have left from mixing that, but it's not a problem. And over time the yeast will activate and the fermentation process will begin. Okay, so we've pitched our yeast and we're ready now to set this up for fermentation. So we take our lid, I've popped the grommet back in there. And we put that tightly on, you'll hear it click into place as that goes down. And once we've got a nice tight seal, we then need to put some water into our airlock. The reason behind the water is that will allow the carbon dioxide to pass from here. Carbon dioxide is generated in the fermentation process, and that will be able to bubble out with pressure, but it won't allow any air back in, so we won't get any infection. So if we just fill this halfway with water, as you can see, pop the lid on, and just put that gently into the top of the bucket, and we're now ready to start the fermentation process. This bucket needs to be left somewhere warm, ideally between 20 to 24 degrees, and we'll leave that to ferment for about 7 days. And as you can see here, we've pitched the yeast and we're now ready to put the lid on.